Hello, welcome to World of Gardens. I'm Donnie Mont. Thank you so much for all your good wishes and likes for last week's show. It's been so successful. We had over 500 people talk about us, so we've now got our own YouTube channel and it's called World of Gardens. I'd like to show you this squash. It's called a trombonico, and here we have some growing here. I harvested this one this morning. I've tried to grow these for a few years now, and I finally worked out the trick. I didn't feed them enough, so I've been feeding them once a week with a Tomorite type feeder. I had a letter earlier this year from a gentleman, I've forgotten his name, I'm sorry, Mr. Monty Don, to say that he'd had some problem with his peas. Unfortunately, all the rabbits had eaten them. So we advised him to plant them again, but put some netting around to stop the rabbits. So I really hope this worked for you, Mr. Don. Another epic fail that I've had in my garden this year is my nettle tea, and here we are. I'd like to show you this year's nettle tea. Now, we've been in Short Meadow for 6 years now, and we've unfortunately never had any success with the nettle tea. This is because it's in this bucket behind the hedge, and every time it's practically ready, somebody, which has been family members, friends and myself on more than one occasion, has found this bucket behind the hedge and thought, what is that in it? It's dirty old water, and tipped it out. So not everything goes to plan in the garden, and I really hope that one day I will be able to make the nettle tea. Had a letter from a Mr. David, unfortunately complaining about the advice I gave last week. This was in relation to the wisteria, where I advised cut it back to 2 or 3 buds. I'm really sorry, but it's actually 5 to 6 buds. Mr. David sent in a picture of what happened to him when he cut it back to 2 or 3 buds. I'm really sorry, Mr. David. Our profound apologies. I ordered these chrysanthemum plants as young plug plants earlier on in the year, but what with the really hot weather and just the pressures of life really, I've been unable to plant them. This one here is a cutting garden collection, and so what I thought I'd do is I've got lucky enough to have a soil bed in my greenhouse, so I'm going to plant them in there to extend their flowering life. These 3 here are called Cicado Orange, and they're a clump forming chrysanthemum which I'm going to put in a pot. And I'm also going to plant 6 plants which I got at the same time called Mrs. Jessie Cooper, which are hardy chrysanthemums, and I'm going to plant them out in the flower bed. I know it's very late in the season to be planting these, but I think better late than never, and I just didn't have a chance. So hopefully along this little wall, these will make a really nice bright show. They're very root bound. This plant here is a Verbena bonariensis. Unfortunately, despite me sowing them in beautiful seed trays and giving them lots of tender loving care with hardly any coming up, this one has decided to seed itself between the corner of the driveway and the paving slab. So I'm going to try and get it out. So what I'm doing is putting some water on it to try and soak the roots out, and I'm going to try and gently pull it to see what happens. Fingers crossed. A bit more water. Whoa, not bad. I'm going to plant that in the bed now. Thank you so much for joining Nigella and myself this week at Short Meadow. We've really enjoyed having you. Happy gardening. Nigella and I are now off to go and play with our ball. See you next week. Okay. Fetch, Nigella, fetch.